Our next speaker for this session is Ben Forster, Geology Superintendent from Prominent Hill, talking about the Prominent Hill growth story. Thanks, Ben.
Cheers, Mark. I have to give a big thanks to Anne-Marie Ebbels. It's actually her presentation, but she couldn't make it today, so asked me to step in for her. So it's a bit engineer heavy, unfortunately. Common disclaimer, BHP, don't use any of this information to buy shares. I'd really like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the country which we operate. We have a very good relationship with our traditional owners, so definitely want to acknowledge them. Introduction. So a little bit of a quick history, looking back at the transition to underground mining at Prominent Hill, and what the future looks like looking forward, our shaft, and then a little bit of a safety share. Thought I'd mix it up a little bit today. So looking back, the early days, you can see the red dot up there where Prominent Hill sits, a couple of hundred k's northwest of Olympic Dam, within the Gawler Craton. On the right is the current underground and open pit mine. In grey, you can see the maroon is the current ore reserve, and the blue is the LOA, so life of asset, stope shapes for the resource. Very quick timeline. So Minotaur discovered Prominent Hill. That was acquired through Oxiana back in 2004. The pit actually started in 2006, the pre-strip. It's listed here as 09, first pit mining. However, that occurred throughout 2007 and 8. It was actually the processing plant first processing the pit material in 09. Underground started in 2012 with the Ankara expansion. We then moved across to Maloo in 2014. There was an expansion of underground across to the Maloo ore body. The pit closed in 2018, however, left us with tens of millions of tonnes of open pit stockpiles, which we are still processing today. We've still got 3 million tonnes approximately left, due to be fed over the next 2 years, and then we will be purely underground feed. In 2021, the Oz Minerals Board approved the Wirra shaft expansion. That coincided with a big piece of work, a big drill out into the deep areas and expanding sideways of the Prominent Hill ore body to facilitate the evaluation of sinking a shaft. And then, of course, Oz Minerals was taken over in 2023 by BHP. So what does the future look like? Currently, being an underground mine, we are sub-level open stoping with paste backfill, nominal production rate of 4.5 million tonnes per year, between 18 and 19 kilometres of development per year, producing 50 to 55,000 copper tonnes. We have a primary mining contractor, Burncart Australia. We're not owner-operator like most BHP sites, carryover from the Oz Minerals days. So in our fleet, we have 7 jumbos, 23 trucks, 5 production drill rigs, 2 cable bolters, and I added 5 underground diamond drill rigs. We currently have bort long ear and web drill. A few resource numbers as well, down the bottom there. Total resource, 162 million tonnes at 0.94, and a reserve of 54 million tonnes at 0.99% copper. So with the current operations, being bulk ton, sub-level open hole stoping, it's very expensive. Nothing is getting cheaper. Everyone would know with mines, the deeper you go, the more expensive it gets. So what do we need to do to unlock the future of Prominent Hill? The Fox project was initiated. The plan was to up our production rate from underground to 6.5 million tonnes per annum. This was also to coincide with the depletion of those open pit stockpiles to really secure the future of Prominent Hill. That also needs significant underground infrastructure, materials handling systems, underground construction of a few things that I'll show you soon. Because what does the tonnes profile look like? You can see 2012, these are the underground tonnes supplementing the pit. All the way through to 2022, what's it doing? It's going up significantly, and we need to increase that by 50-odd%. The image on the right, for anyone that hasn't been to Prominent Hill, that's our current surface crusher. So all the material comes up to here via these trucks, is crushed and then goes onto the cars and into the processing plant. So what is a shaft? What does it look like? What are we doing? The Wirra shaft is going to be 1.32 kilometres deep, with two 39.5 tonne skips to move the material up to the surface from underground. We need to have declines, ore passes, underground chambers, truck chutes, crushers, crushed ore bins, slewing conveyors, and a materials handling system underground. We also need to facilitate that with a surface refrigeration plant. The deeper you go, anyone that's been to Carra or Prom would know it starts to get very hot. Oak Dam is going to have some of these issues too. We also need backfill upgrades to facilitate the uptick in underground mining tonnes. And also some upgrades at the processing plant, so Jamison cell installation and some associated tailings upgrades. So there's a lot of detail on this. I won't really talk to it too much, but that's essentially the componentry of the shaft. I'm definitely not a shaft engineer. We can chat about it after, if you like. But it shows where it sits in the mine. So it sits to the west of the Maloo ore body. It's probably a little bit hard to see, but those two, the level designs coming down towards the base of the shaft, that's the Maloo coming down from the west, and the Ankata and Kalea heading down to the base from the east. So how do you sink a shaft? Very difficult, actually. The pre-sink started from surface with a heron-necked vertical shaft sinking machine. So that was mainly through the sedimentary cover units and the softer units at the top. It was able to get to 93 metres deep. We then had to sit a raise bore on top of that. We have now raised bored almost all the way to the bottom in sections down to 1.32 kilometres at 3.5 metres diameter. That's used to guide the shaft sinking stage. It's used as the material movement process. So when the shaft is being sunk down through the ground, they fire and then push that material down the central 3.5 metre diameter hole down to the bottom. It's moved around and trucked out or backfilled into stopes from the bottom. Infrastructure down the bottom to facilitate the shaft. You can see the shaft position on the left there in the aqua. That comes down to the shaft bottom. There's a loading station, there is transfer chambers, there's MHS, there's a crusher station, there is an ore bin, all within that very tight, small space. There's also an ore bin. I believe it's the biggest one in Australia at 11 metres diameter. So that sits between the crusher chamber down to the MHS, which feeds the shaft. The other facilitating infrastructure is ore passes, which are fed through grizzlies, finger passes into the ore pass, down to truck chutes, which have automatic actuated truck loading chutes under them, so the truck can back up or drive through. When it's there, the ore bin will be ready to load the truck. The truck will then feed the shaft through this. Why did that not move? Through this haulage level infrastructure. So 4 kilometres worth of development. Anyone that's worked underground will know that is a lot of development for one level with no ore. However, that facilitates the delivery of the 6.5 million tonnes of material per year into the shaft and up to the plant. So the 7 of these truck chutes, they all sit at the bottom of the ore passes, significant infrastructure going in for that. And up the top, there's a Kopi winder that brings the skips up and down through the ropes and pulleys. They're 39.5 tonne each. I can't remember the exact time. It's pretty quick. They move up very, very quick up the shaft. And as I said, some other supporting infrastructure. We're doing a big upgrade to one of the paste plants. If you remember from the start, Ankara sat out to the east. This was the specific Ankara paste plant. We need to upgrade this, and also we're drilling and installing infrastructure underground to deliver paste from this paste plant across to Maloo. The upgrades don't massively increase the throughput in terms of volume, but it increases the capacity. We can run both the Maloo and the Ankara simultaneously and fill simultaneously from both sides with these upgrades and the underground infrastructure that we're putting in. So moving on a little bit to a different topic, a bit of a safety share, very mining engineering focused. So what happened? There was a development opportunity to accelerate our development meters down in the decline. This is all to deliver the deep areas of Prominent Hill, particularly now with the shaft infrastructure development. So we set up an independent firing zone for the Maloo hanging wall decline. However, in October 2020, they were firing a cut in that decline, and there was fumes reported at a level significantly higher than where the decline currently was. That was immediately investigated, found that there had been unintended initiation of development headings in an area that was not independent of the independent zone. There were people working up on that level, so immediately an emergency was called as soon as it was discovered that that initiation had happened. Everyone was sent to refuge chambers while the extent of the incident was understood. I guess the main point to pull out here before we go any further, absolutely no personnel or equipment were in the area. However, this is probably due to luck rather than good planning. Yeah, so what happened? There was actually 2 development headings on the 9586 level, which were connected to the firing line because of the design of the firing line that was being used. So why did it occur? The firing line intended for independent firing was not actually truly independent. It was used, isolation switch system was used to segregate the independent zone from the rest of the mine, which is not an effective way to conduct independent firing. So on the left bottom you can see a bit of a sketch diagram of how it worked. The green independent points connected to the main firing line going down to the independent zone. On the right is what you should really have set up, where there's a truly independent segregation of the firing line, the blasting capabilities. Very quickly, I'll skip through a bit of this, running out of time, but this prompted, and other incidents similar, prompted Orica to develop a system called ORBS. So it was a technology and innovation development to improve the ability to segregate areas of the mine to give opportunity to be able to independently fire and also understand the areas that you are firing. This is an Orica picture of how that works. You can look that up later. But what we've done is we have implemented this system. It was implemented between November 2023, fully operational in March 2024. So it's quite quick. We now have 8 independent firing boxes. We can separate every single development and stope firing by using this new system, this new technology, which came out of a potentially very, very serious incident. We now have a very robust system that is a lot safer. Thank you very much.